Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. I want to talk about, I just want an excuse to come on here and talk to MGTOW, okay? But, of course, I have something to talk about. I want to talk about the idea that, things don't have to be perfect for you to make progress in life. But first, let me apologize for, the dead air that starts out at the beginning of these live streams. I'm just operating outdoors on a little handheld Android tablet, public Wi-Fi, and, I hit go live, and it's like a minute before it actually goes live. But I'm pretty sure it's recording my audio right there, so I apologize for that. I would like to start out, all of my live streams and videos with hello, MGTOW. Hello, man. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So today, I want to talk about the idea that perfection is not required to make progress in life. Because here's the thing. If you have, of course, you have the expectation of perfection, okay? But it's an ideal. It's an idea. It's not a physical reality, not yet. So you start plugging away at it. Whatever it is, laying the foundation for a house, setting up the structure for a piece of code, setting up the finances and the operations for some enterprise or business, be it service or product that you're putting out there. You're setting it up. And pretty much no matter what you anticipate is going to happen there, you're going to come up with some obstacles that you didn't anticipate. And they're going to put you on the back foot. What are you going to do? Okay, you certainly can't stop. Now, what if this obstacle that you're coming up against, you can't just solve it? You can't just fix it. Maybe it's an interpersonal problem. Like somebody's got a bad attitude, right? So you can't just snap your fingers and fix it. You can't just work overnight and fix it. You can't just bring in some experts and fix it. It's going to take some time to fix it. But you're wanting to move forward, on your progress, on your project. So for an example, before you can put up the walls for a building, you need to set the foundation, right? And you better set that foundation properly because it's going to be, a 75-story skyscraper. So if you mess up the foundation, the whole thing's going to come tumbling down. But you can't. Okay, your concrete supplier is just screwed you. Or they're just behind schedule. They just got some problems. So you can't lay the foundation, at least not for a few days. And you've got, 50 men on the crew waiting to start putting up the walls. What do? Well, you have them prefabricate the walls, obviously. You know what I mean? So you're at step number 1, you're wanting to get to step number 3, but you've got to go through step number 2, and you've got a problem on step number 1 that disables you from getting to step number 3. What do? Do you give up? Do you wait? No, you do not. You prepare for steps number 3 and steps number 4 while waiting for step number 1 to clear up. But you can't stop. Now you lay the foundation, and there's a problem with part of it, but not all of it. What do? Do you not work on it until it's all perfect? No, you work on the parts that are good enough. And then while you fix that other part. Physical reality is not, in theory and practice are the same. In practice, they are not. Your plans are great until you encounter the enemy, right? So you've got a strategy. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Good morning. Did any of you guys see the Adesanya Pereira UFC fight, 281? I knew what was going to happen. I knew that Pereira was just going to tear his, was going to tear him to pieces. And all these people who were saying, Adesanya was winning for the, 3-1 in the rounds. Yeah, so what? He was on points, but he was getting broken down. Every time Adesanya tried to grapple and, clinch, that was Adesanya saying, I can't take the stand-up fighting part of this. I need a break. I got to slow him down. And, Pereira knew that. So it's like, okay, you want to clinch? Fine. You're going to eat some elbows, but you're going to eat some knees, and I'm going to back out to just outside of your range and just inside of my range. And I'm going to move, in and out of there. So his plan for those circumstances wasn't going to work. Was not going to work. You're not going to outpoint somebody who's coming to tear your head off. I mean, you can outpoint them and then keep them off of you. Eventually, if they're tough enough and strong enough and skilled enough, they're going to get to you. And this is true in almost all kind of competitions. It even happens in Formula One races, like when you've got the slower car, like you're a quarter of a second slower on the lap. It's interesting because you would think that every lap, the leader would, gather up that, quarter of a second. And they do for some laps. They don't do it constantly. In other words, they're faster for the first 5 or 6 laps. But after that, their tires burn out a little bit. They're using their tires a little bit too much. And that person who was a quarter of a second slower, guess what? Their tires are still fresh for 15 laps. So now they're making up a half a second on the lap. And unless you pit, they're going to overtake you. And if you pit and you still use up your tires too quickly, they're going to overtake you again. And yet they are the slower car. There will come a time, I don't know, maybe lap 30, maybe lap 40, where they'll be heading down the straights, and that car that's the slower car will be pushing the car that was the faster car. It almost always happens. Your time will come. Curbing Speed is here. How's it going, everybody? Like I said, I just want to, come on here and talk with you guys. I don't care how critical or organized it is. And certainly, production quality is not so good. What's going on here? When asked by an interviewer to rate himself, most chicks say they're a 10. In saying so, they believe they are perfection. In truth, they are far from it. She won't even work towards betterment. And I added that even. This is exactly right. And, I was thinking about this before I came on. What the heck is going on with women in their makeup? You know what I mean? Why are they trying to be perfect? So it's an ideal in their mind that, physical reality just isn't conforming to it. And so they're spending all this time and effort for these, 0.5% improvements. I'm going to spend 2 hours so that I can improve my appearance by, 0.5% or 0.25%. And the women are doing this all night long, all day long, getting ready. What's going on? What is it? And yeah, it's this thinking that she's perfect. And why wouldn't she think that? I've these last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I've come into contact with a lot of people that are just way down at the bottom of, the society. And I notice patterns, right? And there is this pattern of something that went wrong in their lives many, many years ago, or maybe not too long ago, but generally it's, 20 years ago. And it hurt them. It was a trauma. And now they're still reeling from it. They're still recovering from it. And they're still talking about it. And it becomes an excuse for what's going wrong today. So, yeah. 5 years ago, some years ago, man had a girlfriend or a wife and a family. And she cheated on him. She lied about him. She got the state coming after him. He's got legal problems. He's got no access to his children. He's on his own. He's barely getting by. I mean, I know that's who I'm talking to. You know what I mean? I know at some point, there's a man sitting in a car, okay, with nothing, with basically, a duffel bag, or a trash bag sitting in the back of the car, if he's lucky, because he might not even have the car. And he tried to do everything right. And for the most part, I'm sure he did. And yet, this entire system, his job, his friends, his family, not her family, his family and her family, they all hate his guts and they'll have nothing to do with him. And maybe he did do, maybe some of the fault is his. Maybe he had a drinking problem, okay? Maybe he got in a fight, at the job and lost the job. So, so he definitely surely has some of the responsibility, okay? But that don't mean shit. He was treated unfairly, unjustly. Part of his anger and indignation is not even the idea that he got hurt. It's the idea that what happened was wrong. And it happens to the other men as well. I'm not sitting here complaining about my situation. Men, MGTOW, my situation right now is so bad, okay? So life-threatening and disabling. Okay, as far as, making progress in my society goes, that, most people would give up. Absolutely. And, what I have to do is not think about it too much. I have to think about it to deal with it, but I don't have to dwell on it. So, yeah, men are treated unfairly. I mean, screwed, like cheated out of jobs. I can't tell you how many jobs I've lost because I did not hit on a particular woman. I lost at least 2 decent jobs, okay? These are, salary jobs, like, 40, 50,000 a year. This was some time ago. One sec. I don't have a lighter. My lighter isn't lighting. Fuck me. Yeah, I've been fired for not hitting on the girl. So there's one job I was at. I was in charge, no, I wasn't in charge, of customer service for accounting software. And it was not an easy job, I had 5 or 6 people that I was working with. And we were building an expert system along the way, which is, of course, what you do, when you add in, somebody calls up with a problem. It's like, I can't get this thing to add up. It's, giving you the wrong number. It's like, oh, yeah, that's because you messed up, on this setting. And, you include that answer within your list of frequently asked questions. Okay. So it's kind of like an expert system. And then you add to it so somebody can come to the website and can type in, accounts payable not adding up. And then boom, it just gives them that answer. Okay, so a lot of work, a lot of little operations, taking care of customers on the fly. I was pretty good at it. And a new girl comes into the office. There's maybe 50 people working here. And she's in a totally different department from me. And she's pretty, but, another pretty face, right, with a half a pound of makeup on it. Right, so, she's fixing up to perfection to, to show the face. But, that doesn't mean that she's actually pretty. But she's coming up to me from time to time, and she's talking to me like, oh, you need to help me on this project, and she's like, I don't even know what department she's in, but I know she's not in customer support, customer service. So I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I walk away, right? Because I got nothing to do with this. And I'm, my thinking, when I say, yeah, sure, whatever, my thinking on that, and I'll say this to almost, anybody in charge or anything like that. And I don't mean whatever. I just mean, yeah, okay. And when you move forward, I'll be ready. But I know they're probably not going to move forward. So it's like, yeah, okay, we can do that. Let me know when you're ready. And I know that in 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do anything. So to sit there and to argue with them at that point is just foolish. So, that's what I basically said. And of course, nothing came of the project. A few days later, I'm fired. Okay? No reason given. Nothing. Just got to let you go. A little later, I find out that was the daughter of the boss. That was the daughter of the owner. And she was, in a weird way, trying to be friendly with me. She wasn't. She was like, trying to order me around. And I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, so I got fired from that job for not being nice to her. Next job, or not the next job, but a couple jobs later, I'm coming into work, and again, it's customer support. It's an accounting software, and I'm doing customer support, and I'm doing SQL programming for custom reports. You know what I mean? Like, people want to be able to generate any report that they want based on their data, and they can't necessarily do the form layout, and they can't necessarily do the database queries. So the custom jobs, boom, were coming to me. No big deal. SQL is a piece of cake. SQL is database programming, okay? And, it's about as simple as it gets. So I'm coming in, my first day of work. Let me get some more comments up here, people. I'm coming into my first day of work at this job. And as I'm pulling up, I see this car parked across the street at a park. Parked at the park. And it just comes tearing across the street. You know what I mean? And pulls into the parking lot and parks up near the front. And it's the young receptionist, the young woman who works there. She's in her early 20s, and she's a little bit of a trampy girl. And I'm not, demeaning her or anything like that. I'm just saying that, she's a young girl. She's, interested in having fun and meeting people and stuff like that. That's her focus in life. Whereas if I'm focused, on a job. So, she comes ripping into the parking lot, and then she hops out of the car before I'm even able to walk into the office place, comes walking over towards me, pretends to trip. Okay. It's like, oh, I'm so clumsy. And, falls into me, with the boobs. And I'm like, oh, here, let me catch you so you don't fall. Right. And this type of behavior goes on for like a week, 10 days. And I'm having a smoke break, and she's out there and she's talking to me, and she's talking to me about cuckolding her boyfriend. Okay. Truly, this is what she's saying. She's saying that she's got this boyfriend. She lives with the boyfriend, but she doesn't like the boyfriend. So she brought over some guy to the house, and he got all upset, and he was crying and stuff. So, I hear this, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucked up. That's pretty messed up. And I just say, well, that's pretty messed up. And I walk away. And this is a different time from that first morning. And I, go in to do my work. I get called into the office of her manager, not my manager, because my manager's not in there that day. And I'm told, you're fired. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was told, I wasn't fired. I was told that I had been reported for sexual harassment, and that he was going to look the other way, but if I did it again, he was going to fire me. And so I said to him, look, I didn't do anything. Here's what happened. she's been acting a little, she's been pushing it for the last, week and a half or so. And he said, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And I walked away. And I went back to my desk and I sat down and I realized that this guy is going to put into my record, sexual harassment, and that he's looking the other way. So I said, fuck that, and I walked back into his office, about 15 minutes later, and said, that's it, I quit. I'm walking out. And I did. Now, unfortunately, at this time, I was going through some serious emotional problems. I had recently lost I guess you'd say my paternal twin sister. In other words, we weren't born at the same time, but she looked pretty much, we looked almost identical, right? But I'm male and she's female. And she had passed away from accidental drug overdose, but how accidental are these things? Like if you're going out and getting high, every day for a couple of years, and then one day, you take too much, take the wrong stuff, wrong thing happens, and, you OD. Was it an accident? Because you've been doing it every day for the last 2 years, So I'd lost my sister, and I had grown up with her and stuff like that. So I was not in a good place. And at this time, I was living with a woman, a single mother. Yeah, exactly, MGTOW. And when I walked away from that job and then went to go get another one, my heart wasn't in it. My spirit wasn't in it. I had been, life had hit me pretty hard right then and there, because not only was I, not only had I lost my sister, but I was looking at being the only child to take care of a very elderly, very sick mother. Okay. Her daughters would have nothing to do with her. So it was a really tough time. So I had trouble finding a new job, because I think that people could tell that I just wasn't into it, that I just had some other stuff going on. And so the woman that I'm living with, who I had been supporting, her and her child, for, I don't know, about the last year, she wasn't working. She goes out and she gets a job. Within a week to 10 days, boom, she moves out. And you know when this was? This was right around the 9/11 attacks. This was, 2001. So a long time ago, and yet you can tell that I'm still a little stuck there. So this is what's happening with most of the men too, It's like, what's going on? It's like, man, my brother stole my car. I lost my job. My wife left me. The state came after me. And now I'm just hanging on, and life is really hard. And, it's like, well, how long ago was this? And it's like, this was in 2000. So these traumas, these experiences, they hurt us. And then we retreat within our own psyche, within our own emotions, within our own mental makeup. And we create these rules as if they're absolute. Like, I will never loan my car to my brother or anyone again. And if anybody asks, for a ride or to borrow my car, I will come down on them with the full force of my emotional power regarding this issue. And nobody asks him to borrow a car for the rest of his life. Or if somebody does, and it's a valid situation, he clamps down. So let the past go. It's not real. It is the past. You've been through it. You've been made stronger. You've been made wiser. You have new experience. You're okay. You're getting back up. Okay? You're getting back up on that horse. Now, does this mean you're getting together with women and starting up relationships? Oh, hell no. Hell no. That would be crazy. And yet, you know, this is what most men do, right? Isn't that interesting? You know, like a man is married for 20 years and it's just, you know, like the first year might be okay, but after that, it's just horrible. And then it all falls apart. And what does that man do? He goes out and finds another woman. Now, you guys know that that man, and, you know, this is most of us in many instances, he's lying to himself. He's hiding some fundamental truth from himself, okay? The meaning of your life is not to get together with some woman and to take care of her. That's not it. Biologically, you're driven to do that. But once you've done that, you're like, no, I want to get a different woman. That's your biology, okay? But they would tell you that your biology is to get together with a woman and then to stay with her for the rest of your life. And that the quality of your life every day will be determined by her emotional state. And you've picked yourself a tyrant because she is reliving all of her trauma that she did not, you know, that her emotions that she went through when she was growing up that were traumatic for her. And she's unloading it all on you. And she's spending 4 hours in the bathroom to fix her eyelashes. And she's spending, 4 hours a day in the mirror because she thinks she needs to lose a couple pounds. She's not out there working. She's not out there watching her diet. No, she's standing there in the mirror. And now what are you doing? What is the man doing in this situation? Well, he's looking at her and he's saying, this is a waste of time, but she's beautiful. And she loves me. She thinks I'm the greatest thing in the world. So I'm looking the other way and I'm walking out the door with the feeling of I'm the greatest man in the world because because I'm taking care of her. Right? And so every time she's unhappy, every time for whatever reason, she wants to watch ice cream. Her favorite TV show is canceled this week. Whatever. She gets to say to herself, I know that I've got this man whose psychological and emotional stability is dependent upon me being nice to him. I'm not happy right now. So what is she going to do? Maybe she's a half a pound overweight. Maybe one of her eyelashes is too long. Maybe somebody didn't compliment her haircut. It's rarely going to be practical concerns like my concrete man isn't being able to lay down the foundation and I've got 50 men on the payroll. Okay, that's not her concern. Her concern is her eyelashes. And you're there. The man is there. And he says, oh, honey, your eyelashes are beautiful. And she's still upset. And he knows it doesn't even matter. But there is a certain type of blindness within us. We all have these blind spots. It would be useful if we had people that we could trust who had our back, that could walk around us and say, can you see me now? Can you see me now? And understand, I'm saying physically, but it's an emotional psychological blind spot. And the men have this weakness, this blind spot for the affection for the women. But the women, for the most part, are not concerned with the practical physical world. They're concerned with their emotional state. So this man, good man, is now an emotional tampon. And now the quality of his day is determined by her emotional state. And that's determined by just whatever she's feeling in any given moment. How's that for a setup? How's that for the foundation of your life? How's that for your daily moment-to-moment interactions? How's that going to work out? And even if she's beautiful and makes you feel like the greatest man in the world, after you're done doing that, after you're done having sex, what do you care? What do you care? You don't. you're like, yeah, I may want to come back and talk to you in a couple hours, or in a couple days, or in a couple weeks. Right? You know that's exactly what you feel. I know that's exactly what you feel. That's exactly what I feel 9 times out of 10. So, it's this blindness, and, we think it's cute. SKEC says, I got demonetized by a black secretary one time because I didn't say hello when I walked by. Quit that job. That's right, man. That's exactly right. And that's what this young girl at that one place I was talking about was doing with me too. So, every time I'd come back from lunch, she'd be like, well, what did you get me for lunch? So it was all this kind of cutesy female behavior, flirtatious behavior. And she's just, she was a bit of a tramp, she was a bit of an overweight tramp. Now, what if she had been like the most beautiful young woman I had ever come across? Would I have started jumping through hoops? Would I have said, I got you a Coke while I was out at lunch. I thought you might like it. Or I got you some French fries. You're damn right I might have. You're damn right I might have. So there is this blindness within us, and men are attracted to women. It's built in. Like I said, I've said it before. Look, I'm not the perfect MGTOW, okay? I'm not like that. I'm not like, hardline, this is the way it's got to be. There's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of sides. There's a lot of complexity going on to it. But the bottom line is this. You just want to have a good life. That's it. You know what I mean? That's all. And, so the question becomes, can you do it? Can you, as a man, in our current situation, have a good life? And the answer is yes. You're probably not going to have any, long-term meaningful relationships, with the opposite sex. But that's because socially and culturally, they've been poisoned against us, and I don't even think that it's all women. I think that it is a small I think it's a percentage of women that are unhappy with their gender status, and they want to tear down the whole system because it's not going to benefit them. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, gentlemen. Fuck that. I'm just rolling a cigarette. So I'll tell you, okay, if you smoke, and I know you're thinking Howard Dare shouldn't smoke, and you're right, Howard Dare should not smoke. But Howard Dare, looking at a death sentence, give me that cigarette. I'll take it, because it might be my last one. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure before they put the men and the people, the men up before the firing squads, and they said, "Do you want the last cigarette?" And the man, thought to himself, "Well, I don't smoke." And then he thought to himself, "Fuck yeah, I want that last cigarette." So yeah, I'll smoke. Now, what I do, fucking lighter doesn't work, is I buy pipe tobacco for rolling, and I roll my own, and I get a double pack of 4 Aces pipe tobacco for $2.05, and that's about the equivalent of 3 packs of cigarettes. I get about, actually even more, only 4 packs. So those 2 packs will last me about a week. And it's just $2. Now it's terrible for my health, but in many instances, it is my last cigarette. You know what I mean? Like, I don't drink, okay? I'm not a huge, drinker. I might have a drink occasionally, but, somebody comes up to me now with a bottle of whiskey and puts a shot glass in front of me. It's like, shit, I may not have this ever again. So boom, yeah, I'll have a few drinks. Well, I'll have a drink. Okay, I'll have a half drink. No, alcohol really tears up the insides and causes all kinds of hormonal problems. And what's actually happening? This is great. The body is actually trying to live and sustain itself off of alcohol. And it can a little bit, you know what I mean? We're adaptable. We can eat all kinds of things. And as long as it's not acute poisoning, we will go on. But of course, It's a chronic poisoning. It's a poisoning that's building up day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, until the person is, of course, completely, dependent upon carbs for their energy. Listen, you can only burn about 1,700 calories of carbs. That's all you've got. Okay, that's why after you run the race, after you've done the sprint, you want a candy bar, you want a soda, or a person wants that, because those 1,700 calories of carbohydrate, they're gone, and now we're getting more. We need more. But if you're fat adapted and your body is burning fat, which gives you a much stable, much calm, much more consistent energy flow, well, you've got about, even a skinny person has about 170,000 calories of fat just hanging around on their body. That's even a skinny person. So you've got an energy reserve of 1,750 calories, or you've got an energy reserve of 170,000 calories. Your body would prefer to use the 1,700. And this stuff tastes delicious, no doubt about it. But if you run yourself on that, then you create, the insulin, the blood sugar insulin spike. And the reason why that's happening is because if your blood sugar stays up that high, you will die. So make yourself fat adapted. Let me tell you what I eat. I eat about 4 eggs in the morning. And when I say morning, I mean my first meal. I don't mean in the morning. I usually won't eat until about anywhere like 1 to 3 o'clock. And I'm not even necessarily hungry. I just got to, push myself to do it. Eggs, scrambled eggs. And then around dinner time, normal dinner time, 6, 7 o'clock, I'll have like a half pound of ground beef, a burger. And yeah, I'll have bread with it. I will. But I won't have French fries with it. And that's pretty much it. And I'll have a glass of milk here and there. And I'm not saying that I won't have a soda occasionally or a piece of candy occasionally. I will, but I don't live on that stuff. Like I know that I'm eating eggs and meat today and milk. I know that's what I'm eating. Somebody gives me a candy bar, yeah, I might have it. Sure, soda, yeah, I might have a soda, but just 1 or 2. And I'll tell you something else, and this is a big deal, man. Give yourself a couple of days off of the carbs. Just do it, okay? You've got 80 years, man, of life. You've got 24 hours in a day. Give yourself 2 fucking days without excessive carbs. Go ahead, have a teaspoon of sugar in your coffee. That's fine. But don't have the soda. Don't have the candy. Don't have the ice cream for 2 days. Just give yourself 2 days, please. And you will wake up on that second day, well, third day maybe, and you will say to yourself, my goodness, my thoughts are very clear. My ideas are consistent. I'm not monkey branching all over the place. I get an idea. I'm able to calmly analyze and look at that idea and evaluate that idea. And then I'm able to decide how to best move forward. And I'm not panicked. I'm not nervous. I'm not anxious. I'm not unsure. It's all good. 2 days off of the excessive carbs. That's all you need. And your mind and your thoughts and your stream of consciousness can come back to you. Now, at first, this might not be too easy. I'm already fat adapted. You know what I mean? Here, Curbing Speed says, alcohol puts me to sleep. I'm a supremely cheap date. No, really. Hey, that's also called, being frugal and practical and smart, right? But it's interesting. Women, they don't just want men with money, okay? They're not just hypergamous. No, they want a man with money who they can control and wrap around their finger. So being frugal, being smart with your money, it is a good quality. And I and other intelligent, rational people, we admire that quality. But does the woman that you're trying to get together with, does she admire that quality? Of course not. She wants to see an extravagant, emotional, impulsive man that she can control. And she'll control you with her looks, with her emotions, and with her feelings. Now, we say this. Does this mean all women are bad? No, it does not. Does this mean that there aren't some good women out there? It does not mean that. There are some good women out there. Does this mean that you cannot have a relationship with women? No, it does not mean that. It really doesn't. You can take it that way, but it doesn't mean that. It means that at some point, even the good woman, she can avail herself of these tactics, and she most likely will. I mentioned this a while back, The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, and you could even watch the movie. The main character, Howard Rourke, and it's no mistake that my name is Howard Dare, okay? It's no mistake. So the main character in The Fountainhead of Ayn Rand, Howard O'Rourke, meets up with a woman. Well, and she's a beautiful, attractive woman. And he, of course, he's attracted to her. But she's got an attitude, okay? She is not recognizing completely man as man and female as female. Or even if she is recognizing it, she's playing it, okay? And he'll have none of it. He is MGTOW, truly. MGTOW is not brand new. I mean, MGTOW is, and give credit to Sandman, okay? But the basic idea is this is freedom, this is independence, this is self-determination. This is being treated fairly within a system so that you can then interact with that system, add to that system, and benefit from that system so that we can then all be healthy and strong and build a better future. That's MGTOW now. You know what I mean? That is MGTOW. That's what we're looking for. And this principle of philosophy, this fundamental truth of human nature and how we exist, it's been here. It's always been here. This is why, United States coming up and saying all men are created equal. That's right. By God, you are free. You have a right to your life. Nobody has a right to take it. Doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are. None of that matters. This is the principle. And if we'll take care of this principle, everything else will be okay. I mean, we'll have problems, but we'll be okay. And if we cheat this principle of individual rights, of individual freedom, of self-determination, then it doesn't matter what we do, because now we've lost. And that's exactly what's happening. You're watching it happen, and you're saying, this is wrong, and I don't want to be a part of it, and I know it's going to lead to a bad place, and I want to make that correction before we get to that bad place, because I don't want to be in that bad place. That's what MGTOW is doing. That's what MGTOW is saying. Sometimes I'll meet a woman, and she'll find out, who I am. She'll find out, okay, this guy's got thousands of videos all talking about this. And they'll listen to some of them, and they'll say, my God, you are, like the worst misogynist, the worst woman hater, one of the worst in the world. And I say to them, no, not at all. I love women. I'm trying to help them. I'm trying to take care of them. I'm one of the few people who's willing to speak the truth. MGTOW are speaking the truth. And I was talking about, Dr. Jordan Peterson yesterday, because I like his videos, and, he's a smart man. I don't agree with everything, but, yeah. And how I don't think he understands how bad it is for MGTOW, for the men, for the young men coming up, and for the men who are getting fired from their jobs and their career opportunities are being destroyed. I don't think he realizes how hard it is for them. In other words, he went through, like he kind of lost his, teaching profession because of his stance on principles, which I admire, and he's right. But he did have other things to fall back onto. You know what I mean? He's social media, other practices, that he had going that were private and things like that. But, if he had lost everything, right? Like, boom, that's it. You are now homeless, on the street, legal things hanging over your head, no family, no friends. What would he think now? What would he think about the situation under those circumstances? Because those are the circumstances that the average man is facing, that you and I are facing, right? So when that girl accused me of sexual harassment, when she was the one who was sexually harassing me, and I lost that job, well, I walked away. I wasn't fired. I did walk away on principle. I was unable to get a replacement job. And I lost my relationship, which was actually for the best because she was not a good, wasn't going to work out. So, I lost much more, much, much more. And I just don't think that, Jordan Peterson is aware of how bad it is for the men and how frustrating and desperate the situation is for the young men. I mean, come on, you're going to school, kid's going to school, and he's being told today, all the boys have to pretend that they're girls and all the girls are pretending that they're boys because we want you to see what it's like. And you little 7-year-old kids that are white, you exist on white privilege. You're immoral. You're unethical. It's a 7-year-old kid. You know what I mean? So this kind of comes into the question of, is unlimited freedom a good thing? And the answer is no, of course not. It's chaos. It's madness. Shall you be free of the responsibility of all your decisions? Because if you are, you're going to make bad decisions. Shall you be free of being responsible for your own physical well-being? And the answer is, if you are, you know what I mean? If we set up the system where you get a free living wage and then something happens, or you run afoul of the system, which many of us will, what then? What do you do? And the answer is, of course, you die. You know what I mean? Either you change your ways and support yourself, or you do without. What the hell kind of existence is that for a strong man? What the hell kind of existence is that for a strong human being? It's a dependent. And it's a servile, sickly dependent who can never even have their own opinions and can never stand on principle. You really think that life is going to be satisfying for somebody like that? If they get their 4,000 calories of junk food a day and they get their playtime and their entertainment time? How long can that go on? Can it go on for a year? Sure it can. Can it go on for 2, for 5? Yeah, sure it can. But after 1 to 5 years that the person is sick, physically, overweight, obese, no energy, and that the habits that they've developed will not serve them through life. It'll just make them sicker. So do you really want everything that you want given to you? Do you really want that? Because if you did, it would ruin you. It would ruin anybody. There might be 1 or 2 people who could handle it. The only person worthy of inheriting $1 million is the person who doesn't need it. Anybody else will waste it. They won't know what, they'll misuse it. No, it's not money. It's not material resources. It is the ability to secure those things that you're after, okay? So, a job which pays you $200 for the day is truly not as valuable as a business that pays you $20 a day, but will build up to be giving you $200 a day. Because the first one is dependent on time and your physical effort, and you will run out. But the other one is an actual income generating asset that moves largely independent and passively of your efforts. You set those up. You set up a few of those, and you can adopt any lifestyle you want. You fail to set up those, and you will be working for somebody every day of your life. It's the old, line that I use where the gunfighter is sitting on the train and the cattleman comes up and sits down next to him and says, "You want to know how to get an animal to do whatever you want?" Gunslinger doesn't care. And, he says, "Well, you feed him just enough to get him by to the next day." And the implication, of course, is you want to know how to get a man to do whatever you want him to do. You feed him just enough to get by to the next day, to the next week, to the next month. So yeah, your government will eventually give you a free living wage, just enough to get by to the next month. And the condition of you getting that free living wage will be that you never build up any wealth or income of your own. Would you take that deal? And you know that 80% of the population would take that deal. But it's a bad deal. It's a deal with the devil. There's so much to talk about here in MGTOW. Watching from Thailand right now. Hey, Bucky Travels Places. How's it going, bro? Yeah, I'm hearing great things about Thailand. Yeah, got some MGTOW out in Australia. Maybe vacation over to Thailand from time to time. Do any of you remember? About 4 years ago, we had a MGTOW meetup, and I think it was in Thailand. And yeah, for a while there, we were, they were doing podcasts out there in the streets in Thailand. You had MGTOW 101 out there. You may have had Chris Cantu out there. And you had a few others, Understand that once a channel gets to a certain size, even, MGTOW based, it's really dangerous for that channel to try to do anything new or to try to change things up, because the reason why they got big was because they were doing a certain thing. So they kind of get stuck doing that same thing over and over again, which is fucked up. Primo, how's it going, bro? Says, getting it up on the screen. There it is. Someone once told me that he knew I was a stoner. Excuse, only stoner remember lines from movies of 40 years ago. He was bang on with his prediction. Only stoners remember lines from movies from 40 years ago. Yeah, okay, I can take that. So read The Fountainhead or watch the movie and see what it takes for a man to stand on principle. Okay? And this isn't even like, this is just him standing on his own work. That's all this is. This is him saying, I'm an architect. I have a certain vision to design buildings, and I'm going to follow that vision. And I don't care what's popular. And I don't care what gets paid money, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing this other thing. I'm designing amazing buildings and amazing spaces. And the last thing I want is to copy somebody else. Last thing I want to do is put up a square building and then put a romantic broke facade on the front of it with little statues and lion heads, or a Victorian, with all of its staples and steeples and has this Gothic look to it. What the hell kind of an architect would do that? And the answer is no kind of an architect. Somebody who's copying everything that's around him that's popular, that makes money. Okay? Popular art is not art. Popular art is merchandise. It's marketing. It's trend. Frank Sinatra, when he was starting out, probably in like the 40s or the 50s, and this lets you know what total stoner I am. When he would come to town, they would go around and they would find the teenage girls and they would say, "Here's free tickets. Please come to the show. And when you get to the show, please scream like crazy, like you're in love. That's the price for these tickets." because they knew from a marketing point of view what works. And it doesn't matter how bad the music is. If the women in the audience are screaming and they're in love with it, and you know it's just basically a cooing bird song, it's all a love song, so it's sickly and disgusting in most ways. If the women will do that, guess what? The men will go along. So the music, the popular music, it's made for women. That's why it's a romantic song of some guy singing about love. And if they can hook the women, the men are automatically hooked. And you know this is true for almost everything. If you can get the women to say that we should spend all of our money, you know, your country's money, on helping suffering people in other countries, how can the men oppose it? You know it's a bad idea. You know it's a bad idea. You know it's not the way to build into the future. But her feelings, her fifis, and all of their fifis, and now a huge percentage of the men are going along with it because they want the approval of the women and the affection of the women, and they are champions of the women. So they'll do whatever the women want and whatever they feel. But of course, this is not the way. Of course, this way leads into damnation. It leads into hell. You know, what's going to happen in Europe this winter? I mean, it's winter. It's coming. It's here, right? But it's going to get worse. They don't have oil to heat their homes because they've cut off the Russian pipeline. How happy you think the women are going to be with that? How happy you think they're going to be looking at their kids cold? And I'm not, you know, like, I'm not like, ha ha ha, you should have listened to us, MGTOW. I'm saying, this is messed up. She's not that pretty. After you get what you want, you won't even care. The man won't even care for a while. And of course, this conversation and these ideas, they all preclude the idea that there are some decent women out there that are decent human beings that want to do the right thing. And there are. There definitely are. I think that that's the majority. But I think that once this kind of a virus of man-hating, of misandry, of approval, of hypergamy, you know, to just the nth degree, yeah, that destroys your civilization. And it's not even like we haven't seen it before. It's not even like we don't know the cycle and the pattern, okay? A certain set of values, usually masculine patriarchal values, build the walls and build the city and create the institutions and create the laws that enable people who are not strong men, who are not tough as nails, to prosper and to get by. And as they do, they invert the values that created the civilization. They say being strong and an eye for an eye is not the most important thing. Turning the other cheek is the most important thing. But they only have one cheek. They're not turning the other cheek. They only have the one cheek. They can't fight back. And so they enshrine those values. You know, so it really is like, you know, somebody saying to you, look, the most important thing in life is to sleep late and to eat, overeat, and to indulge every one of your bad habits, and to never make progress, and to always blame other people. That's not going to help you. So, you know, so many things to talk about here in MGTOW. And I'm sorry that I don't have more structure for you guys, you know, in these streams. But if I did, if I waited for that, I could never do the stream. If I was sitting in a quiet room with a nice big monitor operating at 4K without interruptions, almost in a sound studio quality, and the area that I'm in right now is not sound studio quality, it's far from it, then I could give you more structure and stuff like that. Or I could, spend a week or two on a single video, on a single 10-minute video, and do it that way too. But I'm not going to do it. I don't have those tools at my disposal right now. Now I've got handheld Android device, cheap public Wi-Fi, and a microphone and headset that I got from jail, rather. So those are the tools that I'm working with. And every day and every morning in almost every way, the world and everything in it screams at me that, we don't want you here. You're unworthy. You're not good enough for us. We don't like you. This has been screamed at me, for many, many years now. I don't fucking care. I know that if I get in the ring with any of, people like that I'll take them apart. And I don't mean physically in the ring, you know what I mean? I mean that in any interaction, I will take them apart if I want to. I don't want to. I don't need to. So perfection is not required for you to move forward in your life, okay? Maybe something isn't working out, so you can go and work on another part of the project, just like I'm doing, right? I can't have the audio quality and the stability of the connection and the bandwidth of the connection that I want, that I need, but I can't let that stop me. The MGTOW message doesn't really need the fanfare. It stands on its own without fancy graphics and videos. Exactly, dark solidarity. That's what I've come to the conclusion of. That it's more important that I just come out here and say good morning. Men are being treated unfairly. You need to find your strength and stay committed to your vision and have a good day. Don't get tripped up. Understand that no matter how pretty she is and you think she is, when that makeup comes off, no, that's just a blotched up, dried out, pimply face. That's all it is. It's not that perfect foundation. It's not that, it's not those colorful eyes and those rosy cheeks and those red lips. It's none of those things. You ever see chickens? Hens and roosters? Roosters stand out, okay? They stand out like crazy. The hens, nah, they're just hens. They all look pretty much the same. Depressed Panda says, society hates single men. You're seen as a threat. This is exactly right. You are seen as a threat by your mere existence. And you are. You are, man, to the female collective, the single man. If, like they've got enough women, they've got enough men to choose their mates from and enough money and, to indulge their hypergamy. And now we're going to add another single man into the mix, and he might not be the best looking or with the most money. Yeah, he's perceived as a threat, and he is. He's an existential threat to the idea that we are a genderless society, that we don't even have human limitations on us anymore. Go ahead, destroy your internal organs. We'll build a new one. We'll build a mechanical heart, and we'll give it to you. So don't take care of your heart. The same with your liver. No, we can't do that, though, can we? No, we cannot. We cannot build a liver. No, because it's the thing that cleans out all the poisons. Or tries to. Yeah, so that's why that long-term alcoholic looks the way they do. They get that distended belly, and they get, all the muscle wasting, and that long, drawn-out look. Yeah, the body is trying to survive on alcohol. And then the person quits, and, everything falls apart. And it's like, that's right. The body was adapted to living off of alcohol. And now you're giving it normal human food, and that person can't take it. They're not adapted to it. So get yourself off of the excessive carbohydrates. I promise you, man was never meant to eat, leaves and twigs and flowers. Okay? You're a predator. Can you eat some of those things? Yeah, if you prepare them properly. You can't eat a potato. You can't take a potato and eat it. You have to skin it. You have to fry it up. You have to flavor it. It's toxic. It's not good for you. Will your body try to extract some nutrients from it? Yep, it will. It will. And will you live off of it? Yeah, you could live off of it for some years. But the question is, what quality? You know, a lot of the times, and this is true even of myself, I recognized it in myself. It's not a lack of motivation. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's a lack of energy. The people literally do not have the energy to say good morning. So you say to them, good morning. They say, yeah, what? You're bothering me. Say, hey, excuse me, 1 second. They're like, oh, what? Because they don't even have the energy to turn and look at you and say, yeah, what's up, man? I got 30 seconds here for you. They don't even have that energy. They're living through all their past traumas. Their entire mental makeup, emotional makeup, psychological outlook of the world is a defensive, thing because of the bad things that happened to them long, long ago that have nothing to do with what's going on right now. Certainly not, in the moment. Certainly, the idea would be to use your experience to guide and to mediate your behavior. Here, let me tell you something, okay? And this is real. It's all real, but I don't know that I've changed in my whole life. I think I might still be the same person that I was when I was 8 years old, or thereabouts. What I feel, why I feel it really hasn't changed too much. And I feel that I was always just and moral and ethical as much as a kid can be. Like, I didn't want to hurt anybody. And if I saw other people suffering, I felt bad, and I didn't want to be the cause of that. But I don't know that I've changed in all these years. As I said, what I have been able to do is to recognize some of my automatic, behavior, like getting angry, and get a couple seconds in there for me to think about how I'm going to respond before I just do that, natural response. And, it serves me pretty well. It does create a certain level of self-consciousness. And, listening to Jordan Peterson, the moment we start thinking about ourselves, we start feeling depressed. And the more intelligent a person is and the more thoughtful they are, usually the more depressed and neurotic they are. So, ignorance is bliss. Oh, and get this, the smartest people don't make the most money because they're afraid to take chances. They want to make sure everything is perfect before they move forward. So you need that male spirit in you. You need that conqueror's spirit within you. You need the explorer's spirit within you. You need just the idea of possibilities, okay, open to you. And they're not. They're not open to us because we are a part of identity politics. We don't think that we are who we are. We think that we are what we have. And if I only had this, then I would be happy. If I only had $1 million, then people would respect me. So what if you had your $1 million and people were treating you seemingly with respect, but deep down you knew that the only reason they were doing it was because you had the $1 million? How would you feel? Would you feel you have their respect now? Because you don't. You've got the $1 million and they're hypergamous. So they're being friendly and they're treating you a certain way. But they're not treating you that way because of who you are. They don't even know who you are. You may not even know who you are. You just know you've got the $1 million or the nice car or the nice house or the nice body. And so the thing that you want to feel, you don't get to feel it. And you're not supposed to. That's just stuff. So the whole landscape of who we are as human beings is largely closed off to us. We don't have access to it because we care about what we have. Now, I am not saying don't care about what you have. No, you need enough to get by in life. Okay? You have to have it. Principles will not feed you. So you still need all of that stuff, but it's empty without you. Without the true you, it's empty. Okay? I love playing video games. The new Call of Duty is out, right? I know somebody who's just playing it constantly. And it's pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. It's not who I am. It's just a part of what I do once in a while. That's all it is. Identity itself has been corrupted. It's like, who are you? It's like, oh, I'm how much money I make. I'm a big, important man. So like I said, watch the movie Fountainhead or read the book, because there's a man in there who does just that. He makes a lot of money. He's very popular, okay? He's a highly sought-after architect. But he's shit. He's a copy. He's a second-hand human being. He lives for the approval of other people. So he doesn't care about the quality of his work. His work sucks. He just cares whether or not people like his work. But the other man, Howard Rourke, in the story, he cares about the quality of his work, and that's all he cares about. So he goes through some hard times where he can't make any money. But the other people who have no real talent or vision, they can make a lot of money. And this is true. If you kiss the boss's ass, you got a good job. You know what I mean? Like you're secure. What kind of work do you think can get done in that setting? The answer is garbage. No work. Garbage. Pleasing, popular work can get done, but not real art. Nothing that you could genuinely be proud of. No, just copies. Is that it? We'll give you the money. You can have the success. You can have the approval of the world around you, but you compromised everything. Is that a good deal? Because the deal that was offered to the men through the 1950s and 60s was essentially, and it's actually offered to all people, and it still is, but it's a trap. And the deal is, if you'll just do your job, okay? It's a job. It's not your work. If you'll just do your job, we'll pay you, and you can maybe have enough to have a good life. You won't have to think. You won't have to struggle. All you have to do is get up, come into work, come into the job, and do what they tell you to do. Don't think. Don't evaluate the work. They'll give you the money, and it should be enough to keep you alive. That was the deal, okay? It will be enough to keep you alive. Not just to keep you alive. It'll give you enough to have a home and to build a family. And as a man, it's part of what you're trying to do. That was the deal. And you can come home and you don't have to think. You can just watch TV. You can get your buzz on, play your games, have your fun with your friends and your family, whatever, and then come back to work the next day. And after X amount of years of doing this, you will pass away. And you will have built up a little bit. You'll build a family, some friends and stuff like that. But they all just want the new gaming system. They all just want the new car. They all just want to get more stuff. They don't really care about their work. And then you pass away. And that's it. Person like that might as well be a domesticated dog. Never, never to run in the field, never to feel what it truly is genetically, never to live the life of even a dog. Is that what you want? You want to be taken care of forever? Have everything you want given to you? Of course not. You know how empty that would be. Now, when you're suffering and you're hungry, yeah, you want it given to you. I understand that. But I also know that deeper down, you want to earn it. That you don't want to be the man who has it. You want to be the man capable of creating it. That's what I'm saying to you. And in The Fountainhead, the Howard Roark character is that man. He's that type of man. And we need models. They tear down the men. You know what I mean? All of the good men. They're acting like, Elon Musk is a danger to Twitter. Come on. He can open it up back to where it's free speech, possibly. What a weird situation, that we build things like social media platforms. And when I say we, I don't mean necessarily we, I mean individuals like us who have a private enterprise in mind. And it's successful. And just as all the other things, the values which created it, free speech, become inverted. This free speech offends me. It triggers me. I think it's hate speech. It does not go along with my political group. And the only thing that I am is someone who goes along with my political group. I have no identity otherwise. My identity otherwise is the TV show, is the way I want to feel after a full day of at the job. But it's not your life's work, and it's not who you are. It's just what you're doing to get by. And most of us, 95% of us in this system, will never find out who we are, ever. And we don't even want to, Let the boy earn his spurs. Don't give him the spurs. Let him earn them. And then, even if he doesn't have them, he is a man with spurs. But if you just give them to him, if you just say, here you go, then they're nothing. So you have to earn your way in life. And then you will feel complete inside. And every time you do a job, it doesn't matter how simple it is, whether it's as simple as washing your cup, drying your cup, and putting it back away in the cabinet, you get a dopamine hit. And you can train yourself to get the dopamine hit after you work out. You can hack this dopamine system. And this is what's going on as far as motivation. We get you healthy, we get you on the right food, get you doing a little exercise, get you with the right attitude. And then you start hacking your dopamine system. Testosterone is the hormone of making effort feel good. In other words, I don't want to win the fight. I just want to keep hitting that person in front of me, and I don't care how many times I get hit. That's testosterone. Testosterone is, there's this bull out there in the field that can run, 5 of us down, can gore us to death, We're going to take 7 of us with spears, and we're going to surround that fucker, and we're going to take him down. And then we're going to be able to walk along this pasture, this valley, any way we want. And we're going to chop off its head. We're going to put it over our civic, center, our main dome where we all gather for the feast. So we're going to celebrate. That's testosterone. And then we're going to build that bridge, and we're going to build those walls because we've got those people out there that are trying to take what's ours. And it's not hard, and we're not dragging ourselves, and we're not, I don't want to do it. We're like, fuck yeah. And when you get to these walls, welcome to our real defenses. Ha ha ha. So effort, struggle, obstacles, challenges, they're sought out. They are embraced. What a way to approach life. What a way to approach getting a new job. What a way to approach building, your financial empire. What an attitude to have. And it's yours. It's yours intrinsically. It's yours naturally. Get your physical in order, get your diet in order, get your mental, psychology, emotions in order. Know it's going to be tough. Know that you're going to go out there to take care of step number one, and you're going to find 3 new obstacles. And you're going to deal with those obstacles, and you're going to find 2 more. And then you get to overcome step number 1. And if step number 1, if it just cannot be done right now, then start setting up step number 2 while continuing to work on step number 1. And that is a man's way. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how tough it is, you're okay. And it doesn't matter how tough it is, I'm okay. Aha! Dark Solidarity says the unexamined life isn't worth living. And that, of course, is Aristotle. And I would take it a step further. Okay? I would say to you that the unexamined thought and the unexamined feeling and emotion is not worth having. You're not on autopilot here. You are a man. You get to decide. So if somebody comes up to you and slaps you in the face and spits in your face, okay, normally that would just make you beat the shit out of them. Okay? But then you go and you cock your hand back and you realize this person is retarded. Literally. You know what I mean? They have Down syndrome. And you hold your punch. You do not have that feeling and then act on that feeling without examining it first. The unexamined feeling and thought is not worth having. So you're sitting there and you're competing in the workplace or competing for a job, and somebody else gets the job and you're hurt, you're upset. You know, the initial response is, that's not fair, I was cheated. And this is a defensive, thing. Could be that the person was more qualified, better for the job. That initial feeling, examine it. Don't act on it. Not at first. Everything is worth examining. Frenchie the third says, ha 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 ha, fuck. Exactly. That's how I feel too. Before MGTOW, nobody cared about my feelings. Well, you cared about them. You cared about them. Okay? And that's it. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's all we ever get. But I think, and I say that we have been trained to not even care about our own feelings. We care about getting that new car. We care about having that money in the bank. We care about impressing that woman. We care about having that new consumer product. We don't even examine our feelings. That would be dangerous, right? So I got nothing going on right now. I could just as well stay here. Well, wait a minute. No, that's not necessarily true. I got 31% left on my battery. Johnny Derp. That's a great name right there. It says chop and lay up firewood, dopamine. Going hunting next week, lots of dopamine. Exactly. Exactly. You can hack this system. Okay? The things, here's an old samurai saying, okay? If a man can just learn to do the things in life that he doesn't want to do, he can be very successful. So you're the one who's deciding, you're the one who's deciding whether or not you like this or don't like that. It's subjective to a large degree, not entirely, right? Like if they light you on fire, it's like, oh, this sucks, this hurts, of course. But the other shit, it's like, I'm working out and I'm not making progress, or my bank account isn't growing as fast as I want it to. Embrace the suck. Right? I got that as a comment on one of my, videos, right? Embrace the suck. And I was like, holy shit, that's a great saying. And he says, yeah, it's a military saying. I'm like, cool, man. You just got jacked. I'm taking it. That's what I do too, man. I hear something good and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to repeat that. It's like, are you going to give him credit? Nope. Shit, I don't even remember. Right, so we're not sourced, but we could be. We could be very well sourced. I could make very different types of videos. I don't want to, though. No, as you said, we don't need the fanfare. I don't need the fanfare. I don't need the graphics. I don't need the bells and whistles. I don't need the music. I need the thoughts. I need the ideas. That's what I need. And I need to share them, get them out. And hopefully some of you can hear this and say, damn, Howard's right. Or yeah, I feel the same way. And I just didn't have the words and the ideas, and concepts to express it. But it's, this is what I felt. So I feel that that's what I'm doing, in a lot of instances, that I'm just giving voice to the concerns and the ideas that we have. And it takes me time to form them and to structure them so that, I can speak them and they can be reasonably understood. So, and I'm always thinking about 5 or 6 different things. So, and then I decide on one of them. Perfection not required, as if that's all I want to talk about, but it's not. I was also talking about the idea of, is unlimited freedom a good thing, right? Like if you're free to do anything you want, anytime you want, is that a good thing? Because it'll destroy almost every child, right? Oh, shit. Now even my matches aren't working. Is freedom without structure a good thing? Freedom without structure. Okay? You can do anything you want, whatever. That's madness. That's chaos, right? That would be like gathering up, the people for the football game and saying, no rules, just throw the ball. That's it. Just go out there and throw the ball back and forth, No rules, no 100 yards, no 10 yards, no downs, no rules against holding, nothing. Just going out there, man, and play. There'd be nothing to play. So structure is required. Freedom from structure is not freedom. Freedom from structure is chaos. Embracing structure and then working within that structure to build more freedom. That's a man's work. That's a human being's work. Changing the physical reality around you to adapt it to your needs. That's a great feeling. That's building the bridge. That's building the wall. That's setting up the institution that works. That's planting the seeds, maintaining the seeds, and then harvesting. And that is being taken away from you. We've given it up for convenience. And it's not human. That's cattle. That's a domesticated animal. You're more than that. You want stuff. You need stuff to get by in life. But that's not all of who you are. That's not all of what you are. Imagine 10 people learning how to play a classical piece of music. So let's say for Elise, because I used that one a lot, and that means, for Elise. And they all play it perfectly. What would be the point in listening to any one of them play it? I might as well have a machine play it. I might as well put those notes into a machine, into a computer program, and just have the computer program play it. And it'll be perfect. And it's not just 10 people who can play that song. It's millions of people. And now it's not just a song, it's your job. Right? So you've got the job down at the assembly line or whatever. Okay? And you're making your pay so that you can have the things you need to live. There's no meaning beyond that. You know what I mean? This is just a practical act that you have to do. That's not all of who you are. I kind of want every person who plays that song to play it a little differently. And then I want one of them to play it so differently or bring something else to it that one song stands out. And guess what? That man who's unique gets to keep his job because I can replace anybody who plays that song with a million other people. So the deal that you were offered, that men were offered, the pattern that we're following from the 60s, from the 70s, it no longer exists. You cannot have the job and then just live without thinking, because you are not unique enough. You are just another of the million people who can play for Elise in the exact same way. So you can be replaced by any one of those millions. And now, how secure is your job? And how secure is your ability to maintain yourself in the physical world? And what is it dependent on? It's dependent now upon how well you get along in the group. And it's a female group based on unexamined feelings and thoughts geared towards unlimited, unrestrained, unstructured freedom. It's freedom for a slob to live in dirt. Freedom for a glutton to destroy themselves. Freedom for a child to make any accusation that they want and have the whole world turn on it. That's the game that we're in. That's the game that we're playing. You're not creating your art, you're building your version of the song and putting it out there. Let's say you've got a musician, okay, and they love music, and all they want to do is play music, and they've got their ideas about music, okay? They don't like key signatures, okay? They're taking the modes and they're making up their own keys. And it doesn't fit in with any of the music that's currently out there, but it's the exact music that that person wants to create, and they're pushing and they're striving and they're building. Well, that's a great artist, isn't it? Even if other people don't appreciate it. And that other person who's turning out those popular songs, that person has sold their soul. There's nothing there. There's nothing of them there. They don't even write those songs, right? Lady Gaga doesn't write those songs. She adds to them. Well, I don't know. I don't know. So the idea is living secondhand for the approval of other people. And some of that, we have to do it. We have to. But to compromise your entire being and your entire life and your entire day to it's too much of a price. It's too much of a price. So go ahead and check out The Fountainhead and take a look at that character, Howard Rourke, and see what he has to give up in order to be true to his vision, to his art, to his work. Not his job. Not the job that he's doing for somebody to give him stuff, but his life's work. Do you have life's work? You know what my life's work is right now? Talking to men about these issues. That's my life's work. I don't care if I get paid. I don't care if I'm hungry. I don't care if I'm in the cold. I don't care if I'm using cheap equipment that's 10 years behind the times. I don't care. What I care about is reaching out to men who are potentially suffering, who are suffering, okay, and giving them a message, a real message of hope and a way out of the hell that they are in. That's my work. That's what I care about. And that's what I fulfill. And that's what you can do also. And you can make everything you need to make. You don't need the approval of people who just want the approval of other people. Think about how crazy that is. You know, I told this story yesterday about the jeweler, or maybe the day before, has a big watch, big clock in his window. And every day the working man walks by and stops and sets his watch. And one day the jeweler's outside and says, "Hey, I see you walking by every day. What's going on?" And the man says, "Well, I'm the foreman down at the assembly plant, down at the end of the block. And I set my watch, every day based on your clock so that I know when to pull the 5 o'clock whistle, for quitting time." And the jeweler says, "Well, that's very interesting because I wait until 5 o'clock every day for you to blow that whistle. And that's what I set my clock by." So following the followers. Glowies don't like MGTOW. I don't know what glowies are, right? But I can assume that these might be, women who want to glow and spend all their time putting on their makeup and their dresses and their clothes and their designer tags. And that's it. That's who they are. That is their life's work, to gain the approval of others in the moment. And at the end of their life, maybe they get to look back and reflect and say, what did I do in life? And the answer is absolutely nothing. I kept myself alive. I caused some trouble, and I fixed some trouble. I had impact on some people, and some people had impact on me, and I had some stuff, and that's it. Done. Blink. That's it. Blink. Meaning of life. Blink. The meaning of love. Blink. The meaning of sadness, of struggle, of challenge, of achievement. Give me a burger. Give me a burger and a Coke. And I'll blink a couple times and maybe burp. So no great art. Nothing for you to look at and say, man built that. Even the bridge is no longer the vision of the one man or the building, the skyscraper. It's not what it is. It's popular art, and it's a meaningless life. So things are not so bad for you as a man as MGTOW, okay? Your eyes are open. Don't be angry. Would you rather live in a lie and be happy, or would you rather know the truth and deal with all of its ramifications? And I think you'd rather know the truth and deal with all the ramifications, because it's real, as opposed to the other, which is just false. It's just a set of silly ideas. It's a set of silly, unexamined ideas and feelings floating around in the person's head that makes them conform to the group, so that the group does not kick them out, so that they can make money and have the things that they want and need. And all they have to do is sell their soul. That's it. But you can have all of those things and not sell your soul. Ta-da! And that's the message of MGTOW. That's one of the messages of MGTOW. Okay? So I think it's important. And I think having these conversations is important. What's going on, Pulaski Bob? Got to be right back. Living a lie. Johnny Derp says, living a lie means you spend your life striking at shadows instead of landing blows. A glowy is a fad. Oh, good deal. We can go right back to Plato's metaphor, and we can all blame Plato for all this shit that's going on. And it's true, we can. The allegory of the cave, that essentially we human beings are in a cave with our back to the outside, and there's a fire outside, and people are dancing around that fire, and we see the shadows of them dancing on the inside of the cave, like a movie. And we think that those shadows are in fact reality. I got a plane going overhead, one sec. But then somebody comes to us, taps us on the shoulder, and says, hey, come out here. I want to show you something. And we say, no, I'm busy. I'm watching reality and, getting things done. And they say, no, please, just take a moment and let me show you something. And you say, okay. And you step to the back of the cave. That's actually the front of the cave. You think it's the back of the cave. And you see, there's a fire there, and there's people dancing around the fire. And everything that you've been looking at were shadows on the wall. And you say, holy shit, that's not what I thought was reality is not reality. This is reality. You see all these dancing people in this fire. But then you say to yourself, that person's really fat. That person's really ugly. That person's really pretty. That person moves really well. That shadow is not an exact representation of the physical form. It's distorted based on the angle of the reflection. One sec. Shit. Fuck. Nope, it's not happening. Oh, well. So then you say, okay, these people, they're not perfect. I'm not liking this too much. I'm glad I know that the shadows are fake. They're just shadows. But these people, they're not perfect. They're not, what I'm looking for either. So now you start to idealize the real world, the physical world. Like you look at the fat person and you say, oh, no. I'm not really looking at them. What would they look like if they were perfect? And this is all in your head. And, you're looking around at, some of them are too fat and some of them are too thin. Some of them are too tall. Some of them are too short. And you're saying, well, I'm going to kind of like make the perfect one in my own head over all of these people. And that's what a human being should be. They shouldn't be fat. They shouldn't be too thin. They shouldn't be weak. They shouldn't be any other thing. They should be this idealized thing that I have in my mind. And that is what I'm going to call reality. This thing that I'm striving for that doesn't really exist here in this physical world. And then I'm going to abstract that even one step further. I'm going to say, here's the physical representations of the real world. Here's the idealized version of what they should be. And now here is the totality of creation. And I, as a human being, am just another one of those things included within the totality of creation. But do you think that there is any animal out there that has the phrase, the totality of creation, in their mind? Do you think there's any animal out there who could see its own reflection in the mirror and recognize itself as itself? It can't. And you know that the trees and the objects and the cars and the money, none of it has a concept of itself. Only you have that. Only you, a human being, has the concept of the totality of existence. Only you, a human being, has the concept of what's the perfect human being. None of the others have that. And yet you think that you're one of them. You think that you are one of these objects out here in this world. But you are the only object out here capable of conceiving of all of these objects. So now what are you? You're the only one who can conceive of it. Human beings. You're the only one who can conceive of creation. None of the other objects within creation can do this. So are you just like the other objects within creation? No, obviously not. You have consciousness. They don't. They have no self-consciousness. So this terrible neuroses and stress and anxiety that you put yourself through. The ignorant animals and objects, they don't have any of that. So you're not like them, are you? You know you're not. And yet, we regulate ourselves down to that level, and we close off almost the entirety of our being to ourselves, and we become identity politic object. And wow, what a way to manipulate someone. Well, he was a white man. He must be to blame. Exactly. And it's not just the white man. It's not like that. It's any man who's doing his job, who's trying to do right, by the larger collective. And not any man just trying to do right. No. It's more than that. It's the men who are doing right. It is the men who built the structures. It is the men who ideas and principles guide us and keep us safe and give us the structure that we need in order to achieve. Because without structure, there could be no achievement. You can't get a touchdown unless you've made up the rules for the game and what constitutes a touchdown. So these are the values that are taken from us, that we give up. Your job is not your work. This is your life's work. You can build the world you want, your own world. You have to interact with others, yes, but you can work that out. You don't have to be a hermit living alone in a cage who never gets to, hang out with a pretty woman. You don't have to do that. But don't be a fool. Don't jump through hoops because she's got on a lot of makeup. Because you know that after you've had that hamburger, you're not going to want another hamburger for a while. And I don't even mean to reduce human relationships down to the idea of a hamburger. We don't even need to do that. But just like, you have your physical needs, of money, of food, of shelter, of warmth. You have men have certain emotional and psychological needs. They want to be approved of by the group. They want, the women folk to say, oh, he is a good man. We want that. We need that. Well, I don't know if we need it. We want it. So they withhold that. And this is basic. You want to know how to get somebody to do what you want them to do? Find out what they want and then withhold it until they do what you want them to do. It's not complicated. Okay? It's the same thing. You want to know how to get the animal to do what you want it to do? Feed it just enough to get by to the next day. Withhold the food. Withhold what it needs. And then use it to control them. So that's what's going on. Okay? And the things that we need, in many instances, are emotional and psychological and social. And they are being withheld from the men and from the boys. So that society and moneyed interests and a ruling political class and a collectivized gynocentric class, which even includes men, can control those potentially world-changing, potentially independent men. And what a thing that is to rise up to, Like there's nobody like Elon Musk in the world, Now, do I say that as if, I want that approval and that fame? Well, sure, there's some of that, but no, there's some real achievement there, There's some real worthy, virtuous behavior there that's worth emulating. But no, we tear it all down. The people who can't do this stuff, even to any degree, who have no interest in doing it, they devalue it. They invert the values. They tear it down. And you know that this is more of our ideal of what we are striving for. Don't give it up. Don't lose. Don't quit. It's all here for you. If you can fill the unforgiving mile with distance run, the world and everything in it is yours. And what's more, you'll be a man, my son. Do the work. Do it. You don't care. You're tough. You're strong. We'll get you tough. We'll get you strong. I promise. I promise. You do the basic things. Get some exercise in there, Eat the right food. Avoid those excessive sugars and carbs and processed foods. Focus on something that you care about, whether it be art, whether it be architecture, whether it be music, whether it be designing software, whether it be affiliate marketing, whether it be making MGTOW videos. Find something that you care about and then pursue it. And recognize where you're at, like, oh shit, the quality of this work sucks. And I want to improve it. And then make those improvements, recognize those improvements, recognize that nobody else cares about those improvements, but then congratulate yourself on a job well done. And there's your dopamine hit. And there's your dopamine hit as positive reinforcement to doing the things that you need to do. And you can be proud of that. And nobody has to know about it. You don't have to tell anybody about it. You don't have to get anything for it. And that is your life's work, not your job. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me say, I need your help, MGTOW. I've got no way to bring income in. I'm not allowed to work right now. I'm not allowed to do a lot of things. I've got trial that could put me away for the rest of my life coming up. So if you're in a position to help out Howard Dare with a little, click on my CashApp donation link. It's around on all my other videos. I'll probably put one up on this video too. And go ahead and help out Howard Dare so that I'm in a position that I can, come on here tomorrow morning or tonight, So that's part of it. That's my job. Okay, I got to keep myself alive, and I need your help to do it, and I appreciate your help. A lot of you guys have been really stepping up, and helping out me, and it's enabled me to, get to this stage. And we've got a lot further to go, and we're going to go there together, and we're going to help each other. So if you can help, if you're in a position to help right now, I would really appreciate it. And it would make a positive difference in my life and in others' lives. And if you're not in a position to help right now, then hang out, listen to the videos, listen to some of my ideas, bring in some of your other ideas, because you've got your sources, put them together, examine them, and then move forward on it. And you've got my support. Like you want to come on here and talk about it, I'll get it set up to where I can bring guests on and we can talk about it and get the feedback from the MGTOW community. So I care about the MGTOW community. I care about my fellow man. You may have been treated unfairly. You may be in a tough place right now. But knowing what I know about your ideas, your principles, your character, I'll be your friend. Come on here and hang out with me. It's cool. We're good. I'm sorry I don't have anything more that I can do for you right now, but I will. And there might be some things I can do. Yeah, absolutely. Come on to a podcast, talk for a while, get your ideas clear, get your microphone set up. Fuck yeah. That's a good thing. You can make money from home. Like, you don't have to have a job. You can do your own thing. You can market whatever. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. I could talk for hours. Stay strong, Howard. We got your back. Thank you, Art. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you. People hate Elon because they're not Elon. That's right. Collecting data. Nice name, asshole. I don't know, but it's cool. Elon started as a web developer with a windfall project. Yeah, pretty much, right? And then he kind of came into the whole PayPal situation. And wow, have they fallen to shit? Have they allowed, woke social consciousness? They kicked me out of PayPal, okay, because I'm MGTOW. Not because I did anything wrong, not because none of my papers were in order, but because they didn't like what I said. So this is like outlawing music if you don't like the music. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine if you had rap artists and hip hop artists that were on PayPal, and PayPal suddenly said, we don't approve of this type of music. We think it's socially toxic. So we're shutting you all down. At what point did running a business become social reconstruction? In many instances, I think it's just marketing. You know what I mean? I think that they just need the approval of the group. But it's a whole other subject. It's a whole other topic. All right. I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about all of this. I'm going to come back on a little later. Well, maybe if I can. I don't know that I can. But there's some great stuff here. Josh says, men need to stop relying on women for self-validation. This is the truth of it, Josh. But can we do it? You know what I mean? Like, at what level does a man have to get to where he isn't seeking that validation? Can the multimillionaire heavyweight champ walk past an unattractive woman who says, you're a bad man, you're a misogynist, and not feel anything hurtful? Can he do it? I hope he can, but I don't know that he can. And if he's not a man with $1 million and he's not the heavyweight champ, now it's even harder. And what if it's just the receptionist at the place where he works? And what if she just wants to be a slut and he just doesn't want to, take those chances with her? He hurt her feelings, didn't he? Should he be fired? I was. Self-validation is for the superior man. Yes. But we as men, we evaluate each other, even in a hierarchical structure where, it's like, okay, this is the commanding officer. If we don't respect that commanding officer, we'll do what they say. We'll say, yes, sir, right away, sir. But we're just doing it for the rank, not for the man. We are social animals. We are part of a group, so it's very hard for us to be completely detached from the group. Can the strong, and yet it is what the strong man needs to become. Right now, what if the strong man? What if he's just the angry boy, and he's just like, no, I don't want to do anything that anybody tells me to do. I'm free. I want to do what I want to do, and fuck everybody else. No, he needs the structure. He needs to be told, yeah, that's great, kid, but we're going to put you into, a fighting ring with, and we're going to see how you do. So that's a great attitude. Good luck with it. So in other words, the validation, the feedback, it's real. So I'm the greatest fighter in the world, but he doesn't know how to fight. He gets in the ring and he gets punched in the face until he hits the ground. Of course. Now, if he wants to be the great fighter, he has to be able to say, shit, I suck. This performance sucked. I got to step it up. I got to rise up to this higher level. I got to, up my game. I got to train up. That's a different type of validation. This is the structure of the real world, and we need it. We don't need freedom from responsibility. Responsibility is a good thing. It makes you strong. Obstacles and resistance are a good thing. They make you strong. You get to earn your spurs. You get to become the type of person, the type of man that can create the wealth. Not the man who has the wealth necessarily. Not the man who kisses ass and compromises himself and gets what he needs to get by day to day. No, you become the man who's capable of generating it. And then you become the man capable, or human being, just a person, capable of helping other people generate it. And what if you're not just generating the wealth? What if you're helping them generate self-reliance? Now what are you doing? Now here's your life's work, okay? It's not a job, it's your life's work. You guys know I'm a big fan of Nietzsche, right? And it's not the misused will to power aspect that people portray Nietzsche as. No, this is a much deeper examination of modern society. And who was who Nietzsche was an admirer of? Waldo. Waldo, or at least that's what I saw. I saw a video that said Nietzsche, really admired Waldo. And I'm talking about Emerson. I'm talking about Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he is a great American philosopher when America didn't have a lot of great philosophers.